Brad Williams, Frugal Finance, Medigap Insurance. If you already have Medigap policy, this section may apply to you if you're thinking about switching to a different Medigap policy, you're losing your Medigap coverage, you have a Medigap policy with Medicare drug coverage, or you just want some basic information. Let's check this out. Switching Medigap policies. Can I switch to a different Medigap policy? In most cases, you won't have a right under federal law to switch Medigap policies unless you're within your 6-month Medigap open enrollment period. You're eligible under a specific situation or guaranteed issue rights. If your state has generous requirements or the insurance company is willing to sell you a Medigap policy, make sure you compare benefits and premiums before switching. If you bought your Medigap policy before June 1st, 2010, it may offer coverage that isn't available in a newer Medigap policy. 92, the company may refuse to renew your Medigap policy any year, and your policy may cost more than current Medigap policies. If you decide to switch, don't cancel your first Medigap policy until you've decided to keep the second Medigap policy. On the application for the new Medigap policy, you'll have to promise that you'll cancel your first Medigap policy. You have 30 days to decide if you want to keep the new Medigap policy. This is called your free look period, which starts when you get your new Medigap policy. You'll need to pay both premiums the month that you have both. Do I have to switch Medigap policies if I have a Medigap policy that's no longer sold? If you have an older Medigap policy, you don't have to switch. But if you buy a new Medigap policy, you have to cancel your old policy except for your 30-day free look period. Once you cancel your policy, you can't get it back. Do I have to wait a certain length of time after I buy a Medigap policy before I can switch to a different Medigap policy? No, but if you've had your current Medigap policy for less than 6 months and want to switch to a different Medigap policy, you may have to wait up to 6 months for the new policy to cover your pre-existing conditions, called the pre-existing condition waiting period. Your new Medigap policy must subtract the number of months you've had your current Medigap policy or prior credible coverage, like health insurance you recently had through your employer, from the time you must wait before covering your pre-existing conditions. For example, if someone had a pre-existing condition and had credible coverage, as described above, for 2 months and then gets a new Medigap policy, the new policy won't cover that condition for another 4 months. If your new Medigap policy has a benefit that isn't in your current Medigap policy, you may still have to wait up to 6 months before that benefit will be covered, regardless of how long you've had your current Medigap policy. If you've had your current Medigap policy longer than 6 months and it has the same benefits as your new policy, the new insurance company can't exclude your pre-existing condition or make you wait before it is covered. If the insurance company agrees to issue you a new policy, then they can't write pre-existing conditions, waiting periods, elimination periods, or probationary periods into the replacement policy. If the insurance company agrees to issue you a new policy, why would I want to switch to a different Medigap policy? Some reasons for switching may include you're paying for a benefit you don't need, you need more benefits, you want to change insurance companies, you want a policy that costs less. It's important to compare the benefits in your current Medigap plan to the plan you're considering switching to. If you live in Massachusetts, Minnesota, or Wisconsin, go to page 42 to 44. If you decide to switch insurance companies, you can call the insurance company and apply for your new Medigap policy. If your application is accepted, call your current insurance company and ask to have your coverage end. The insurance company can't tell you how to end your coverage. Make sure your old Medigap policy coverage ends after you have the new Medigap policy for 30 days, your 30-day free look period. Can I keep my current Medigap policy or Medicare Select policy or switch to a different Medigap policy if I move out of state? In general, you can keep your current Medigap policy regardless of where you live as long as you still have original Medicare. If you want to switch to a different Medigap policy, you'll have to check with your current or the new Medigap insurance company about your options. Remember, you may have to pay more for your new Medigap policy, answer some medical questions if you're buying a Medigap policy outside of your Medigap open enrollment period. If you have a Medicare Select policy and you move out of the policy area, you can buy a standardized Medigap policy from your current Medigap insurance company as long as it offers the same or fewer benefits as your current Medicare Select program. If you've had your Medicare Select policy for more than 6 months, you won't have to answer any medical questions. Use your guaranteed issue right to switch to Medicare plans A through L that's sold by an insurance company in your state or the state you're moving to. Note, Plan C and F are no longer available to people new to Medicare on or after January 1st, 2020. However, if you were eligible for Medicare before January 1st, 2020, but haven't yet enrolled, you may be able to buy Plan C or Plan F. People new to Medicare on or after January 1st, 2020 have the right to buy Plan D or G instead of Plan C or F. You may have additional rights under the state law. Call your SHIP or state insurance department for more information. What happens to my Medigap policy if I join Medicare Advantage Plan? You may want to drop your Medigap policy because you'll be paying for coverage you can't use. If you decide to keep your Medigap policy, you'll have to pay your Medigap policy premium. Your Medigap policy can't pay any Medicare Advantage Plan deductible, copayments, coinsurance, or premiums. You always have a legal right to keep your Medigap policy after you join a Medicare Advantage Plan. However, because you have a Medicare Advantage Plan, the Medigap policy will no longer provide benefits that supplement Medicare. Contact your Medigap insurance company to find out how to cancel your Medigap policy. In most cases, if you drop your Medigap policy to join a Medicare Advantage Plan, you may not be able to get the same policy back, or in some cases, any Medigap policy unless you leave your Medicare Advantage Plan during your trial period. You have a trial right. Contact your state insurance department for more information. Losing Medigap coverage? Can my Medigap insurance company drop me? All standardized Medigap policies bought after 1992 are automatically renewed every year, guaranteed renewable. Even if you have health problems, this means your Medigap insurance company can only drop you if you stop paying your premium, you weren't truthful on the Medigap policy application, the insurance company goes bankrupt or goes out of business. If you bought your Medigap policy before 92, it might not be guaranteed renewable. This means the Medigap insurance company can refuse to renew your Medigap policy as long as it gets the state's approval to cancel your policy. If that happens, you have the right to buy another Medigap policy. Go to pages 21 through 23 or section 2 for more information about guaranteed issue rights. Medigap policies and Medicare drug coverage Part D. Medigap plans sold after 2005 don't include prescription drug coverage. If you want prescription drug coverage, you can join a separate Medicare drug plan. Medicare offers prescription drug coverage for everyone with Medicare. What if I have Medigap policy that already has prescription drug coverage? If you have a Medigap policy with prescription drug coverage, you can still join a Medicare drug plan. Your situation may have changed in ways that make a Medicare drug plan fit your needs better than the drug coverage in your Medigap policy. You can join a Medicare drug plan between October 15th through December 7th on an annual basis. Your new coverage will begin on January 1st. What if I have a Medigap policy that has prescription drug coverage and want to join a Medicare drug plan? If your Medigap premium or your prescription drug needs were low when you had your first chance to join a Medicare drug plan, your Medigap coverage may have met your needs. However, if your Medigap premium increased or you've started taking more prescription drugs recently, a Medicare drug plan may be a better choice for you. In a Medicare drug plan, you may have to pay a monthly premium, and a Medicare drug plan covers certain prescription drugs on its formulary or drug list. It's important to check if your current drugs are on a Medicare drug plan list of covered drugs before you join. Will I have to pay a late enrollment penalty if I join a Medicare drug plan now? If you bought a Medigap policy before January 1st, 2006 that includes prescription drug coverage, you may have to pay a late enrollment penalty if the policy doesn't include a credible prescription drug coverage. Having credible coverage means that the Medigap policy drug coverage pays, on average, at least as much as the Medicare standard drug coverage and gives the same value for your prescriptions as Medicare drug coverage Part D. If your Medigap policy drug coverage isn't credible coverage and you join a Medicare drug plan now, you'll probably have to pay late enrollment penalty, which gets added to your monthly premium. Your Medigap insurance company must send you a notice each year telling you if their prescription drug coverage is credible, or if the drug coverage in your Medigap policy changes so that it's no longer credible. Keep these notices in case you decide to join a Medicare drug plan later. Before you decide to join a Medicare drug plan, Part D, consider If your Medigap policy includes credible drug coverage, you won't have to pay a late enrollment penalty as long as you don't go 63 or more days in a row without a credible prescription drug coverage. Don't stop the drug coverage from your Medigap policy before you join the Medicare drug plan and the coverage starts. If your Medigap policy doesn't include credible drug coverage, you'll probably have to pay a late enrollment penalty if you join a Medicare drug plan now. The penalty amount increases for each month you wait to get Part D. In general, you'll have to pay this penalty for as long as you have Part D. Can I join a Medicare drug plan and have a Medigap policy with a prescription drug coverage? No. If your Medigap policy covers prescription drugs, you must tell your Medigap insurance company when you join a Medicare drug plan. If you decide to join a Medicare drug plan, you'll have to tell your Medigap insurance company to remove the drug coverage from your Medigap policy and adjust your premium. Can't add drug coverage back to your Medigap policy. What if I decide to drop my entire Medigap policy, not just the drug coverage, and join a Medicare Advantage plan that offers drug coverage? In general, you can only join a Medicare drug plan or Medicare Advantage plan with drug coverage during the Medicare open enrollment period between October 15th through December 7th. If you join during open enrollment, your coverage will begin on January 1st. In most cases, if you drop your Medigap policy to join a Medicare Advantage plan, you may not be able to get the same policy back, so pay careful attention to the timing. Medicare is a very complex beast. Comment if you have any questions as it relates to if you already have a Medigap policy and the contingencies if you want to make switches. Brad Williams, Frugal Finance. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps. See you soon.